I don't know if you know this, but Xbox turned 20 this month, and boy did we celebrate in style. With early access to one of 2021's biggest titles, a couple of massive new additions to Xbox Game Pass, and a host of classic titles now available via backwards compatibility. November has been one great big Xbox extravaganza. So without further ado, let's take a quick flick back to some of the headlines.
Forza Horizon 5 raced onto Xbox Game Pass on the 9th, racking up an extraordinary 10 million players in its first week, becoming the biggest Xbox launch of all time, as well as one of the highest rated games of the year. Its vast Mexican setting contains everything from arid deserts and rocky mountainsides to dense jungles and murky swamplands, all just waiting for you to tear across them in any one of the game's intricately detailed cars. Picking which car isn't as easy though, as there are over 500. The whole experience looks exceptional as well, especially in 4K on the Xbox Series X and S. With such a sharp presentation, you can really appreciate the craftsmanship that's gone into every inch of this game's sprawling map, even when you're charging through it at 300 miles an hour.
When Dark Souls fans found out that From Software would be teaming up with the legendary author George R.R. Martin to bring another one of their dark and deadly fantasy worlds to life, they were stoked. And when they got to see a video preview of the game itself at the start of November, they pretty much lost their minds. And when a lucky few got to actually play the game as part of the closed network test between the 12th and the 15th, well, I'm honestly not sure how many of them are going to be able to make it to the game's full release on February 22nd, 2022, because the excitement levels are just that high, and it doesn't seem that entirely healthy. The beta gave us the chance to explore a little of the game's vast open world, try out a few of its classes, learn about how magic will function in the game, and even go toe-to-toe with a particularly nasty gentleman called Margaret the Fell Omen. Feel free to check out what else we learned right here in this video. Elden Ring looks set to deliver on everything you'd expect from a From Software title. Brutal difficulty, haunting art design, towering bosses, and some of the most satisfying combat you'll find anywhere on Xbox.
With 20 years of incredible gaming history now under its belt, Xbox went all out to ring in the big day with a huge anniversary event that was beamed out all over the world. Amongst other things, the event showed off some of the amazing anniversary merch you can pick up from the store, all of which goes real nice with the Halo Special Edition Series X consoles or the 20th anniversary's controllers and headsets that already been announced. And if the whole thing just made you desperate to know more about what went down during those 2 decades, well then you're in luck, because they also announced a 6-part documentary called Power On, the Story of Xbox. You'll be able to check that out right here on YouTube, as well as on Roku, Redbox and IMDb TV from December 13th. Those lucky Xbox FanFest members, however, can take an exclusive look a day earlier.
But the only way to really get the nostalgia flowing is to dive back into one of your favourite Xbox titles from the years gone by. Something that became much easier with the announcement that 76 more classic Xbox and Xbox 360 titles would be going backwards compatible, including amazing games like Red Dead Revolver, Max Payne, and Time Splitters 2, a personal favourite. Xbox Series X and S players will find that some of these titles are even better than they remembered, with games like Fear, Nier, and Binary Domain all getting a tidy frame rate upgrade courtesy of FPS Boost. Better yet, this feature has also been added to 26 games from the existing backwards compatible catalogue, including the original Gears of War titles, Fallout 3, and yes, Alan Wake.
But the biggest anniversary reveal came when Xbox suddenly dropped a beta version of Halo Infinite's multiplayer mode and invited everyone to get in on the action. And if you've managed to pull yourself away from the beta long enough to watch this video, congratulations, Spartan. If you need any further tips to up your game, then look no further than right here, with this video in the right hand corner right here that'll get you to Onyx in no time at all. From the moment Halo Combat Evolved arrived as a classic Xbox launch title, no series has been more iconic than the one spearheaded by that famous Green Spartan. So it's only fitting that we all get to celebrate the big 2-0 with another round of plasma grenades and ghost raids. And remember, Halo Infinite's multiplayer will always be free, with progress carrying over when the full game is out on Xbox Game Pass on December 8th. It looks like the next 20 years of Xbox are going to be just as good as the first 2 decades.
And speaking of all things Halo, fans who have been eagerly awaiting the series' live-action adaptation got a sneak preview of what it's going to look like with the show's first teaser trailer. Airing on Paramount Plus sometime next year, the new series will be headed up by American God's Pablo Schreiber, with voice actor Jen Taylor reprising her role as Cortana from the games themselves. The trailer only gave us a brief glimpse of Master Chief's iconic Mjolnir armor, but it was more than enough to get our pulses racing. Roll on 2022, I say.
If the last couple of years have felt a bit like living through the end times, then the upside is you should be well prepared for a game like Surviving the Aftermath, which arrived on November 16th. In this management sim, you build up your colony in the usual ways, assigning tasks to each of your busy little people, building up settlements, and generally trying to constantly improve your homegrown community. Only in this game, you do so knowing full well that a cataclysm of some kind is going to come along and devastate all of your hard work, making things all the more difficult yet thrilling. Whether it's a scorching heat wave or a catastrophic meteor shower, something bad is always on the horizon, so you'd better be prepared for anything.
The wonders of cloud gaming has already made us deeply grateful to be alive in such a technologically fantastic era. Streaming some of Xbox Game Pass's finest titles directly onto a mobile device still kind of feels like a magic trick, especially to those of us old enough to remember when the only game their phone used to have was Snake. And as of the 17th, cloud gaming got even better. Xbox One and Xbox Series X and S gamers can now stream to their console as well, meaning you can jump straight into a huge selection of games without even needing to download them first. Most incredibly, it even means that Xbox One gamers can try out next-gen exclusive titles on their current hardware. That's amazing. Available to all Xbox Game Pass Ultimate members, the service has now been rolled out in 25 regions and feels like it could be a total game changer for the way we play.
The 19th brought us another monster of a release when Battlefield 2042 was deployed all guns blazing. Taking place in a climate-ravaged future, the latest entry in the acclaimed first-person shooter series added in some cool new gadgets for you to play with, like grappling hooks, wingsuits, and robot dogs. Oh, and it also added tornadoes, gigantic hazardous tornadoes that might come ripping through the map at any moment. Naturally, the Battlefield community has already started finding creative ways to use all of the new game's features. For a closer look, check out our video on 10 cool things to do in Battlefield 2042. And of course, don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell for tips on some of Xbox's other major titles too.
Xbox's anniversary celebrations continued on the 23rd with the launch of a virtual museum that allows players to take a little trip back down memory lane. And since it is full of video game exhibits, it is immediately better than like 68% of actual museums. And trust me, I've done all the math required for this. Pop open your browser and head inside to see a collection of artifacts from across the years, with a 3D section dedicated to each console generation that you can wander back through all of the biggest events. From the arrival of Xbox Live Arcade and Kinect, to a certain red ring that we've all been happy to see the back of, the whole Xbox story is here to experience interactively. And if you visit while signed into your Xbox account, you'll find a section dedicated to your own personal journey, detailing things like when you first picked up an Xbox gamepad, what your first ever achievement was, and what games you spent the most time playing, and a whole bunch of other fun personal stats.
How to spend the last night of the month? Why, doing the same thing we do every night, Pinky. Trying to take over the world. Evil Genius 2 puts you in the swivelly chair of a bona fide supervillain who will stop at nothing until they've achieved total world domination, which really makes a nice difference from all these goody two-shoes save the world types we've been playing as lately. Of course, taking over the planet requires a lot of work. You'll need to hire some underlings, start work on a doomsday device, deal with any meddlesome agents who may come your way, and keep a legitimate business running out front to act as cover. But you don't get to be the supreme ruler of the universe without putting in the hours. Luckily, this Dr. Evil simulator is available on Game Pass, so rise and grind, you beautiful despots.
If the final month of 2021 turns out to be half as good as November, then I think we'll all ring in the bells feeling pretty satisfied. And with both Halo Infinite and The Gunk arriving day one on Xbox Game Pass before December is out, I actually feel pretty good about our odds on that one. We'll have more about those and all other major Xbox titles on the way soon, so be sure to like, subscribe, and ring the bell before you go. Bye-bye.